Hi, so this is something I was just messing around with to see if I could do it. I wasn't sure how to do it, but just screwing around and I figured it out. So I want to do a liquid simulation in Blender and then control an effector uh, with geometry nodes and essentially try to get a fluid level controller out of it. So I took a cube and adjusted the geometry um, to the shape that I wanted, and then moved the liquid domain, and here I created it using the object quick effects and then um, quick liquid, just to make it easier on me. And so I added a few cubes. One is going to be the inflow object, so liquid is going to be flowing into the system, and the other is an outflow object, so that's going to be like the drain for the system. And then I'm going to have another object in there, which is an effector, and that's going to essentially block the outflow object. And then I'm going to put I got another cube, and I reduced it down to a single vertex, and then shrink wrapped that to the liquid domain so that it kind of floats on top. And as that floats up, it's going to be tied to the effector, and it's going to adjust that position and uncover the outflow object and drain the either drain or stop the draining of the tank in order to maintain a particular fluid level. So here I took a cube, merged all the nodes to the center in edit mode, and then I added a shrink wrap to that in the constraints, and used the liquid domain as the target. And in order to get this to work, I had to enable the mesh option in the liquid simulation. If I didn't do that, it tended to move over to the side of the simulation. But if you turn on the mesh, then it has some geometry there for it to tie itself to. And I tried to get this into an area where I didn't have a lot of splashing, so it didn't like go crazy up and down. I wanted something that was fairly smooth, behaving. The surface behaved very smoothly. So here I'm setting up the inflow and the outflow, and then the effector. And then I went into geometry nodes in the effector object, and I dragged in the cube that I used to as the float on top, the one that's shrink wrapped. And then I took the Z position of that and tied it into the set position for the effector. And so I added a little math there so that I could adjust the level a little with an addition node. And once I adjusted that, I could start getting it interacting with the fluid, and it didn't seem to be working, and I was kind of bummed. But then I noticed that in the modifier stack, if I actually move the geometry nodes above the fluid simulation, then it works. Of course, if you make changes to your setup, sometimes you'll have to go into the liquid simulation and adjust some parameter. I'll go in and change the resolution to 64 and then back to 32, just in order to get something to run. And I noticed there was a lot of splashing if I used the flip fluid, but if I changed it to the APIC type fluid, it was a little more well behaved. And so here's an example where I set the add to a certain level in the geometry nodes, and you can see that it kind of settles on a particular fluid level. And then if I change that, then here I have to go in and change the resolution again because I altered one of the properties, and then change it right back. So as I adjust that math in the geometry nodes, I'm adjusting basically the fluid level that it eventually settles down at. Added a geometry nodes to that shrink wrapped node just to put an icosphere there using the instance on points. There's only one point because there's only one vertex, but I wanted some geometry there to show. And so that's it. That's the liquid simulation with an effector that's, I guess it's kind of controlled by that floater on top of the fluid. So that's kind of neat. I didn't know if I would be able to do it or not, but it looks like you can do that in Blender, and that's pretty cool. So if you like this kind of video, go ahead and hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.